What's up, everyone? What's up, people on Twitch? I'm also just waking up, so this is going to be a slow start. And my phone was like 1% battery, and I usually use my phone for my stream camera. So I'm just using my face cam today. What is up, everyone? It's going to be a chill stream. Probably not going to do too much. I have a personal website that I've been neglecting, and I wanted to work on it a little bit. And maybe y'all can give me ideas about what to even add to it, because honestly, I just don't care about my personal blog. It's not even a blog, it's like a personal, you'll see. Oh, that's... Here it is in all its glory. Put this over here. First time watching my lives. Yeah, I don't really do them as much as I used to. I used to do them every Sunday, and then I got lazy and I stopped doing them. But I'm glad you guys are here. Yep, I am live on YouTube. Herman, or Hement was there. All right. Yeah, you guys are welcome to like ask questions or do whatever, but I'm gonna just try to add a couple of things to this. So recently, in Project Planner AI, which is another side project I'm working on, we added, or I should say I added, the ability to basically post events directly into your projects here. The reason I'm doing this is because I feel like something like Post Hog a little bit more complicated, and all I want is just a simple way to monitor events. And I'm also just trying this out to see if this is even worth doing. So the idea is on my personal webdevcody.com site, I have a webdevcody project here. And when people, for example, load the page or click on a Twitter link or click on a video, that type of analytics that you might see from like Google Analytics, but I just want to kind of like roll my own to see how far I could take that. Might be a dumb idea, but I'm having fun. So in the layout, basically we have to make that post request. So like I could probably make a lib folder here. Or yeah, I'll just do lib for right now. And I'll say analytics, yes. Excuse me. Analytics TS, and we'll say export function send event. Go ahead and make a request to this endpoint. And so here's the API endpoint. You can post some amount of events every 10 seconds. There's like some rate limiting behind the scenes. But as long as you provide your project ID, which I might refactor this, maybe in the stream, maybe not, to use actual like tokens. And so you can like rotate tokens from your own projects so that if someone were to abuse your project ID, and also just hide this, probably a better idea. But when someone says, for example, hits your page, I'll just go ahead and say page load. Okay, so you can kind of like put a custom string here, and that should do a post request to the endpoint. Then we should see events pop up in our other UI. So I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out how to do this. So in the layout, I'm pretty sure this is where you want to do it, or you could do it in the middleware maybe. But when the page first loads, we could potentially just make that request. I think the layout will be cached between like all subsequential page changes, I think, but what do I know? Let's just go over here. I'm going to make a new component here. I'll call like analytics.tsx, export function analytics, and all this is going to do is I have to make this a client component because I'm using Next.js, and so we're going to have to just like, I don't know if it matters where we put it. I'll just put it there. But we will just do this once. We will run an effect on mount, and we will just call that method send event. And actually, this should probably be called page load, and we should go into here and refactor this to event string event. I'll call it key. How about that? Okay, so when the page first loads, send off an event. Now technically to test this out, just go here, refresh the page, and I should see an event pop up. There we go. So far, I've gotten 4 of them. If I refresh it 4 more times, now we have 10 of them. I will say this is a really rudimentary page. I just added this last night, so I mean, it needs some work. The chart looks terrible. Other things I should probably try to figure out too. Am I using Redux? No, I'm not using Redux. Oh, cool. Glad to hear that, Spam TV. Yeah, and again, like, feel free to send feedback. If there's anything you want us to change, like, we don't have a lot of bandwidth to, like, do stuff, but we are trying to just focus on user feedback first and then do the things that we think are cool. Yeah, I don't use Redux in this project. Typically with Next.js, like, I wouldn't even recommend using Redux. I would just use prop drilling until it gets messy, and then I would probably bring in Zustan if you really need to share state around components. Just my personal opinion. Have I played with SST Ion yet? Not yet. It's on my to-do list, I would say. What are you using for state management? Yeah, so for state management, I would ask yourself, like, how often do you actually share state between components? And from what I've seen, you don't that often. Unless you have a good reason to what state are you actually sharing? Most of the things you can leverage are just prop drilling or some type of like context. Let me not neglect the YouTube chat. Do you plan on doing more? I don't know what that means. More what? What do you think about Cloudflare pages for Next.js? I haven't used Cloudflare pages yet. But everything else on Cloudflare, I like a lot. I think Cloudflare is a really good product. I've been using it for like the DDoS protection and the tunnels and stuff. I think it's pretty nice. But I think you're like the 3rd or 4th person to recommend Cloudflare pages. What is the best? Oh, I'm using Copilot. So when when I'm coding, it gives me some suggestions. That overall, I mean, it's $10 a month, which is a drop in the bucket if you think about it. But I think it does help me a lot with the writing types and stuff. And I think it's worth it because, I mean, if it saves you an hour the month or even 2 hours within the month, especially on your side projects where you don't have much time to even work on them, if it saves you any time at all, I think it's worth paying for. I do this. Project Planner ID. Do I have anything in .env you guys shouldn't be able to see? I don't know. Let me load up a different terminal. cleaning that up a little bit. I don't like having hard-coded strings in my code. Could probably abstract this as well, but I think it's fine for right now. env swap. Oh, I need it. You know, I think we could make this better. Let's say there's other places in the app I want to keep track of something. I wonder if we can abstract this. So like I could say key here. This could be called page load. And then send event on load. Okay, that feels like a better approach to it. Because now I have a reusable thing I can use in other places. And it's not hard-coded to one event. Why is this not? It's not assignable to type. What did I do? Oh. Okay, let's just let Copilot finish it off for me. There we go. Still work? Fail to run fetch. I wonder if this is the rate limiting issue. Why would it be failing to run fetch? Add request. Oh, I don't think I'm sending the key anymore. Did I mess that up? Send event, key, body, key, and project ID. Here's the project ID. I don't see a key here. Don't know. Structure is the key undefined. Throw a debugger in there. Key is undefined. Key, and event. Oh, you know what? It's probably because key is a reserved word. I'm an idiot. Let's rename this to event key. Sometimes it just doesn't know how to rename the way I want it. I think that is what we want. And just try this out. Get rid of the debugger, save it, go back, refresh the page, and I think we're good now. The dumb mistakes like that eat up all your time. You say never use Next.js again. There's a lot of things I say on my channel that I don't actually mean. One thing you have to understand when you watch my content is I would follow my actions and not my words. And I use Next.js in all my side projects. There's things about it I don't like about it, like the caching, but I think it's a much better approach than just doing a VDApp with a single page React approach. What is your tech stack on your job? Yeah, so at work we use a single page React application bundled with ES build. On the back end we use Node.js with an Express API. All that's deployed as a mono lambda to AWS, hosted behind API Gateway. We have CloudFront in front of that, DynamoDB for the database, Elasticsearch for our reverse index document search. And then we do a lot of like SQS for asynchronous processing that invoke other lambdas, TypeScript. What else do we do at work? A lot of PDF generation. I don't know. Stuff. We do a lot of stuff. Which is your front-end way of Next.js server? Is traditional? I mean, for this Project Planner AI application, we are using Convex for our backend as a service, and so we aren't really doing server-side rendering on any of these pages. So you'll see it's when like the page loads. Okay, this one I need to fix and default that, but you know, like we have like loaders that pop up and then the data gets fetched using client-side fetching. I don't think there's too much of an issue with doing that. But I wouldn't say it's traditional API routes because Convex is a kind of a different paradigm of how you get your data from your database and how you mutate your data. But on some other projects I do use server actions. I think they're both great. Server actions is just a little bit more like bought into the Next.js paradigm. So if you're okay with that. How would you lean front end? Oh, sorry. How would you learn front end if you could do it all over again? I don't know. I mean, the way I learn is I like to build stuff. So I'd probably like just try to build a large project while watching tutorials and like reading up on blog posts about how to do different things. I'm not the type of person who can like buy a course online and like watch through it and then feel like I've actually accomplished anything. I got to build something out for myself before I learn anything. What is a CMS and when should I use one? A CMS is a content management system. It's used for when you want to basically have a nice intuitive UI for modifying the data that shows up on your websites. So for example, let's say a client wants access to come in and change some text on your page. Like for example, maybe your client doesn't want happy coding here. Maybe they want to change it and they want the power to be able to change that themselves. A CMS, for example, Strappy is one that I've kind of used for a little bit. You can go in the Strappy and you can just have your client have access to log in and they can change these as needed. And so like they don't have to go and touch code at all. They don't need to call a developer and say, hey, I need you to change this to happy coding and get rid of this exclamation mark. They have the flexibility to do it themselves. So it kind of saves you time and them money. But it's just a database basically. Trying to create a personal project where a user can create their own database and will use my API to make CRUD operations on user table to handle authentic. Give me a second. Let me commit what I have. I want to see if I launch this, if this will work. You know, another thing I want to do is like, we verify this works. Now, when I'm running locally, I don't want to send a bunch of events to my real like application. So what I might do here is if process env node environment is development. Maybe we can do that. Maybe this is a bad approach. But anyway, I'm going to go here and say node development is equal to. You know, I'm going to change this to is local. And I think we have to use next public is local. If this thing is set, then we won't send off events. If it's not set, then the events will be sent. So adding conditional to only send events on prod. That up. Now I will say I am deploying this on Railway. Sometimes it takes a while to build. And by a while, I mean like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And I have 2 concurrent builds happening. I wonder if that's going to be an issue. My portfolio is, I think, open source on GitHub. I don't even know what I'm trying to add to it. So, I mean, I don't know what you're going to be adding to it. Do you recommend this Express React approach or the Next.js? Personally, if I was building a new business or application, I would use Next.js. There's nothing wrong with Express. Like, unless you have strong business needs for like a separate REST API, I would just kind of stick with Next.js. I think it just makes it easier. Onboarding other people who know Next.js will be much easier. Yeah, server actions make you move faster if you're like a solo developer or something. But the moment you have to make a public API, you can't really expose server actions to people because the interface is not very intuitive, right? So like in our, I don't have it open up, so. Do I dream of woodworking? I don't even know what that means. Like being a lumberjack? Starlord 7, yes, this is also being streamed to Twitch. Oh, yeah, I mean, I might try to get back into live streams more. Again, I used to do them every Sunday at like 9 a.m. Eastern, and then I got lazy, but here I am doing another one. Can you make videos on Docker and hosting on a VPS? Yeah, if I get time. Please do more front-end challenges for beginners to try. Okay, I'll note that. People seem to like those. Front-end devs, majority are going to be replaced by AI. I mean, I don't think so. At some point, I mean, yeah. Do I still use Prisma or do I prefer Drizzle? I think they're both really good. The issue I have with Prisma is that often I was deploying to serverless environments, and to get Prisma working on a Lambda, at least back then, maybe they've changed it, it wasn't very easy. Because there's like a whole Rust binary under the hood that needs to be like shipped. You have to figure out how to get that on a Lambda layer and attach that to your Lambdas. I think Drizzle is much more simple, less complexity, and it's a less abstraction. So it's like you're kind of writing just SQL statements in a lot of the cases. So I personally just use Drizzle now, but I do think they're both good. I use Prisma on icon generator. So like, this is the other application I have. This is all using Prisma behind the scenes. Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, they both work. I have no strong feelings towards either of them. Is Webpack and a Babel worth learning for beginners? I would not waste your time learning Webpack or Babel. I would just let the abstraction of Vite or something else just do that for you. And typically, you just want to use ESBuild anyway, because Webpack is super slow. What is your go-to stack for web apps? Right now, it's Next.js with a Postgres database. When do you plan to release an hour video full stack tutorial again? Yeah, I don't know if I get time. I was thinking about doing a React.js crash course. I don't know how useful that would be. So I guess leave a comment if you think a React.js crash course where I just talk about like state, use effect, use layout effect, some basic hooks, building out a basic form. So like not talking about Next.js, no meta frameworks. Because I was talking to someone else who's like trying to get into coding. He's like, he had a bunch of experience with like other stuff. And he's trying to get into React, and he's about to buy like a Udemy course and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'll just make a React.js tutorial for you first. Maybe that'll help you out. I wonder if there is a way to locally sync in then view GA events. Next.js and Supabase for everything. So I see this a lot online. People say Supabase, but do you actually mean Supabase? Like all the stuff that Supabase provides, row level security, connecting to your database from your front end? Or do you mean just using them to host your Postgres database? Necessary to have a portfolio? I don't think you need a portfolio. I mean, like, I've been coding for 10 years, and this is my portfolio. I don't think it matters. Maybe the first landed job, maybe someone would look at it. I would say that I've given out resumes before that have a link to, like, a personal portfolio that I had way back then. And then during the interview, I asked if they checked it out, and they said no. So I think the interviewers don't have a lot of time, and so when you put links on your resume, they don't have the time to look at them. And sometimes they're thrown into the interview to talk to you before they even like are really given much time to prepare. But that's just my perspective. Maybe people have had luck getting jobs and the portfolio really helped them. I would say at least have one project that you can talk about though. I don't use Vercel, so I don't really care about their recent pricing changes. I'm guessing for the most part their changes did help others though, reduce pricing, so that's good. Would you still use Airbnb ES config in a 10-man company, or would you use the default? I don't know. I'm not really a stickler for like what the ESLint config needs to be. I would just use the default personally and prettier. I think it's good to use defaults because then when you onboard people from other companies, they're not like confused why you have like all these really strange configurations set up. I don't know. I'm going to skip that one. You have projects where you try to make money like in order to be able to do this full time. I mean, I have side projects that make some income. I mean, I would love to be like Levels.io and make like 50K a month from his side projects. But I got to get lucky. What's up, Daria? Yeah, since Jason says, since learning Dart and Flutter, my dislike for React has lessened. The grass isn't greener on the other side. I just kind of accepted my fate in that I will be using React until something else becomes more popular and takes it over. But right now, I'm just going to keep using React. I like Vue a lot. I like Svelte a lot, but ultimately, like, I've been paid to use React, so I'm just going to stick with it. Project with Supabase. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Would you recommend? Would you recommend front end or full stack as a computer science student graduating soon? I mean, I recommend learning as much as you can. The more you know, the more you're gonna open up opportunities, in my opinion. And I think just understanding how the backend kind of works is good. Oh yeah, React's releasing 19. Maybe I should wait on a tutorial. Love your system design. Yeah, if I can think of other things to do, I could do more design videos. Yeah, Ronald, Rondolph. I have played around with Vue and Svelte, and I like them both. I just end up going back to React. It's hard when you have a bunch of different side projects and they're all like in different things. Um, but yeah, if you're just dabbling with it, I have dabbled in both. Let me not neglect Twitch. Hold on. Among other creators, I watched your video as well to learn coding from scratch and wanted to make use of the occasion. And thank you for your content. I got a junior position 2 months ago. I'm very happy with it. So thank you. Hey, glad to hear that. I love when my content, like people post content like this and say that my videos have helped them. So thank you for the kind words. And I hope my videos can help you in the future. Can you make some Astro's tutorial? No, I don't really use Astro. I think it can be powerful when trying to enter the industry. I've always gotten praise for having a cool portfolio. Also, I think having a blog is beneficial in the way that it's great opportunity to learn stuff. Yeah, I would agree on the blog part. I mean, anytime that you are making content, I think it just reinforces your learning. For example, my YouTube channel has helped me learn a lot and grow. And making a blog where you actually like write about your learnings and help others could be a good way too. But here is another stat about having a portfolio can help you land a job. Kabir, how's it going? Are you still using SST? Recently I kind of switched over to just deploy directly on the railway. I got off of AWS. Other than the S3 bucket for all my documents, I just don't use AWS anymore after that DDoS. But that's just a personal like skill issue. And then I said, you know what, screw it. I just rather host on something that has a hard cap on spending. Because the cool thing about Railway is when I go over 20 bucks, I have it to just kill all my apps. And I also put that in front of Cloudflare for DDoS protection. So yeah, I mean, people don't really spend too much time looking at your resume. It's so hard to gauge someone just by on some random words that are written on a piece of paper, right? Like, okay, I see the keyword Next.js, I see the keyword Postgres, and then I see like a bullet point that says like helped ship a product to production for thousands of users. Okay, like how do I gauge who you are based on these like random bullet points? I don't know. I think the whole idea of a resume is kind of silly. But that's where we're at. I don't know how else you can kind of like it's for most of where I've gotten jobs, it's about who you know and connecting with people. All the jobs I have gotten have been from connections. So me talking to people, me giving a presentation, and then the company remembered who I was and they reached out to me and asked me to get hired. Or my brother got me at the second job where his friend is also a coder and called me and said, hey, do you want a job? So I think connections is probably the most powerful way because, again, when companies have to parse through 10,000 resumes in a month, they'd rather just trust a coworker to say, hey, I have a buddy who is pretty good at coding and stuff. The portfolio, I offered them to show off stuff during the interview and they were like, nah, I'm good. You should have showed them your game, Daria. They couldn't refuse that. My stuff done deploying. Yeah. Yeah, so what I want to try is go to my website and I want to see if as people are kind of hitting my website, if my events will start going up. Or if it's broken. Maybe I should check if it's actually working. It's broken. Cores issues. Don't you love cores issues? App API. Actually, let me double check what is the real issue because sometimes it just says cores issues and then I don't even look at it. Events. Key is page load. Oh, okay. The issue is I did not. Yeah, I did not set this when I deployed from Railway. So now I need to go back to variables here I need to add one. And that can go here. Go ahead and add that in, redeploy that. Might take a little while. How long did the last deployment take? At 30 seconds. I'm just going to watch this and see how long it actually takes. Yeah, Igor, that's probably a good idea. I might actually. Do you have a recommendation? With Zod E.elg. I've used environment variable validators in the past. Yeah, maybe I should look through the T3 stack, what they use. I know Theo had like an npm package himself, but I've also seen another one that I've used on another project. Does anyone know of a good library for validating all your environment variables are set? There's one called, okay, this is deployed. So let's test this out real quick. If I go to here, okay, events. So you can go to webdevcody.com now. And I guess I just wanted to see if you all hit it, will this page start updating live when the new events come in? There it is. It's going up. Pretty cool. So yeah, the idea is basically you can have a bunch of different events that you want to track on your page. And as those events come in, you can categorize them. Let me rephrase that. As the events come in the front end, I group them by key, and then I bucket them by the day. So I can see how many page loads happened today on Sunday. And I could see a chart over time to see if I'm having growth. And then also I plan to add these for different features to see, are people even like using the create a work item button? I'm kind of dog fooding this entire feature for the Project Planner AI application so I can see, first of all, how many people are even using the change log, how many people are using feedback, how many people are using work items, etc. Honestly, I can get all this data from my database. Like I could just run an analytics query and understand, but I think having this might be interesting. Yeah, so I think that's a good idea. There's one for environment. There's something called envalid. Check this one out. There's also, let me check out the T3 stack and see what they use. Is this what it is? T3 OSS ENV core. Okay, try using that one. Let me look it up. I'm guessing the difference is that the T3 one uses Zod, and this one probably just uses some like random validation library. Because the other one doesn't even have a README. So, oh wait, yeah, it does. Simple. Options pre-configure for Next.js. What's the Next.js one do differently? Well, I guess it doesn't hurt to just try it. I know I've used this in the T3 stack before, and I liked it, so npm run. All right, let me install this, but not on that one. Over here, maybe we need to have this one open anymore. Wait, no, this is the wrong one. All right, yeah, npm install this package. Let's read through it. They make a source env file. Is it a TS file? Yep. And then copy this. Save this. And what are the two env things that we're using? All right. Don't need server stuff. If you're using Next.js under 13, you need to specify a runtime manually. I don't think I need a runtime env. I need to Google that more. Why is this complaining? I'm gonna try to get away without using that. Oh, I guess you need it. Why do you need this? Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, I know what it's doing. This is just defining the schema, but then like I have to actually tell it what environment variable that comes from. Okay, so now anywhere in our app we're doing process env, should probably instead import that. Oh, I forget I'm using Dynamo. Ooh, I'm missing a reCAPTCHA secret as well. Go ahead and bring that in. Yeah, before my like newsletter used to be a completely separate deployed application. I'm trying to just simplify everything so that it makes my life easier. And so I'm bringing in all of the code needed for like subscribing to my newsletter, which creates a DynamoDB entry into this project. But yeah, let's try this out. Let's hopefully this still works. Crashing. Missing some things, which I think I don't really have a local path going for this. I'll just go ahead and do like this. Come on, Copilot. Let me be lazy. Secret. Okay. Does this load? It does. Testing at example. I'm not sure how that even worked. Probably shouldn't have worked. Anyway, let me commit this. I think we're good. I'll just go ahead and say adding env parser to make my life easy. Probably some more stuff I want to fix on this, but I approve your 2-character indentation code. Yeah, I've been using that indentation choice for a long time. Railway has support for long-running processes like WebSockets, for example. Cell recently made changes and improvements to its infrastructure. Not checked out the details. Yep, neither. Cody is not using an ini package for his ant foo yet. What is that? Oh, Anthony foo. Okay. What's the ini package? I'm okay not learning new stuff. I'm okay just sticking to NPM. It's cool. I'll use NPM until I switch over to a new programming language. Smooth transitions. Windows. This is just built in the Mac, so I turned off. I went to the accessibility settings, and I turned off animations, so it makes it feel much faster when I'm switching windows. What are the benefits of deploying on Railway versus just using Cloudflare? I haven't used Cloudflare pages, and I don't know how they deploy their stuff. Like, if you just point it to your Next.js application, is it just running a container for you, or are they running that all in serverless somehow? If I run it all in serverless, I think there's more stuff that needs to happen under the hood, and they would have to write custom code to support that. But I don't know. I don't think you need to validate env in a small project. Am I wrong? Well, I mean, you just saw on stream where I just wasted 5 minutes because I deployed something and I forgot to set an environment variable. So I don't think it's the effort to add it in is worth the time it's going to save you, because I just literally wasted 5-10 minutes because this thing deployed. It could have failed the moment I pushed, but because I didn't validate my environment variables, I didn't have any information about like why it was failing. So now I don't even know why we did that. Why did we add the validation again? Because something wasn't set, right? Oh yeah, the next public planner ID was not set when I deployed to prod, and so when people tried to load the page, it would just throw an error. That's why we added it in. Okay, so let's go back. Don't need that. Open layers map library into Next. Yes, fun caffeine fueled times. Is that like a map? Open layers map library. I think I've only worked with like 1 or 2 mapping libraries. I forget what their names are called now. Like I've done like a Google Maps thing, but then there's also like another one that's a paid mapping service. I didn't realize how expensive these mapping libraries are. Like if you look at the pricing for them, they can become quite expensive. I think it was like Levels.io had like a little side project called like Hood Finder or something, and it went viral, and his bill was like, just for the mapping alone, his bill like hit a couple $1,000 for all the different requests for getting the maps. Still shows the Vercel logo in the tab logo instead of, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. How do you change that? I think it's a matter of like putting a favicon somewhere. Let me Google that. I know it's like a simple of a. You can change it here if you want to. Let's see if the documentation tells us how to properly change it. So you can put a favicon.ico inside your app directory, is what they say. I'm going to try to use like a favicon generator right now so I can just get the correct. Hold on, why is it? Oh. Looks awful. I'm using like a favicon generator online, and for some reason the favicon is so pixelated. I know, I'm not sharing my screen. And download the favicon. Bro, why do these all look so bad? What is going on here? Whatever. We'll fix this later. This will be the icon for right now. But I think I can just rename this. And that's what we're going to get. And then also the metadata. Yeah, let's just go ahead and say like initial favicon. I don't know why I have Vercel and Next here. Those must be from the when you first start a project. We'll commit those later. Yeah, leaflet, that's what it is. What's up, Coding and Flow? Let me give a shout out to Coding and Flow. He's another YouTuber who makes Next.js content. So go check him out. The link's in the chat. I'm currently hosting on Railway. Oh, I thought you were talking to Colby for a second. I'm like, I think you just told me Colby. When you code on live stream, are you ever worried about showing secrets or passwords? Yes. So I actually have a second monitor, and if anything I'm about to open is something I think will have a secret, I'll open it on my second monitor first just to double check. I'm not too sophisticated. There are ways to like hook into OBS and have it like blur your screen, and I could just do that. But I just don't care. Yeah, it's just something you have to constantly think about. Like, don't open this. Careful what files you click on or what links you open. Especially if people try to paste you links and say, go here and check out my portfolio. I would never click those on a live stream. Yeah, I'm a little tired, you know. I didn't have my full dose of caffeine this morning. All right, so this is deployed. Let's see if we have a favicon now. Let me go to WebDev Cody. Probably cached. Let's just do a... Okay, definitely not. Okay, probably did it wrong. Probably listen to the person in chat. Well, the weird thing is that if you read their docs, they say Next.js will evaluate the file and automatically add the appropriate tags to your app's head element. And they say you can put it in your app directory. I have it in my app directory. I have a favicon ICO. Favicon, add a favicon image file to the root/app route segment. But yeah, maybe you actually have to like put icons here, something like this. And then I have to say, this is 16 by 16, I believe. Favicon ICO. Okay, it showed up here now. I guess that kind of fixes it. Change the type too. Yeah, Megamind, there's no best approach for anything. Everything has trade-offs. I just like using Convex because I like the live data, the real-time data updates, and I feel like it helps me move faster. I've never self-hosted Supabase. I probably would just pay for hosting, honestly, unless for some reason the Supabase pricing was going through the roof, and that's when you might want to self-host. When I start project, I will always be tired and not finishing. Drink coffee. Hey Tina. You just drop in like that, just saying hi and bye. That's my wife, by the way. Everyone can say hello to my beautiful wife, Tina, before she leaves. What do people even add to like a personal website? I feel like I should add like links to like some of my videos, and then maybe a link to like Twitter or YouTube up here. So we could try doing that. I'm working at such a slow pace. I just not really motivated. So in layout, we could try to add a header. Looks like we have a header already. Just add some links here. So let's just add a link to, got a link on the left. We should probably do a space between and put some links on the right. Specify between. Go back over here. And then we should do a Twitter icon. Probably wrap this in a div. Over here, we could say, no, the weird thing about Lucid icons that they don't have any like social media stuff for some reason. Like there's no Twitter. Oh, there is. I swear I tried using it, it didn't show up. Twitter. Hmm. Because at one point this is like deprecated, so you couldn't even like use these. Is it okay to fetch data in a client component from a server action? Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with that. I think I've personally done it. Now, does Next.js recommend it? Not really sure. I'm sure there's some, there's probably some gotcha with doing it that they don't really tell you about, and then a month later after you've been doing it, you realize what the gotcha is. We are not accepting brand icons. We recommend using simple icons. We have an active issue for removal of existing brand icons, please. Yeah, I mean, I probably should just be using their simple icons recommendation. Creative Commons, okay. Now I got 2 icon libraries. Let's go. The state of web development. You have to install tons of different icon libraries to do something simple. Where's the list? They have like a list. Website, Twitter. Okay, and guidelines. Click it. What does it give me? What's an SVG? How does this work though? I mean, I just want icon slug. Import SI icon slug. Okay, try that. I wonder if it's called X now. SIX. I think it's working. What is the other one? We want SI YouTube. I'm sorry, what is this? This is not for React, is it? React simple icons. This feels stupid, but sure hope tree shaking works on this. These aren't working either. Type is missing from the following. Title, color, size. Are these like required fields? Yeah, okay. I was hoping not to copy the SVG, but I mean, at this point, this is awful. So we will just do that. We'll say function x icon, return the SVG. Get rid of those packages I just installed. And then we'll go back and do YouTube. What do I want? I guess this one would be good. Whatever. There, X icon, delete that. My package JSON, get rid of that. What else do we bring in? Simple icons, get rid of that. I need to change the text of them or something. Give them a width and a height. But now, over here, can I just apply Tailwind stuff to this? Going up. But it's an SVG, so I don't know if I can actually apply like text white to it, right? Imagine how hard it is to add a simple icon that you found online. I'm struggling, y'all. I'm struggling. I think we got it. We did it, boys. That's so far over here, though. Container MX autoflex justify between. Like, why is that not full screening? Maybe it's because my. Oh. Okay, well, we're not going to worry about mobile. But this is not supposed to be going off. This image is too big. I wonder if I can just like class name this W full. Okay, height, 100 pixels. Okay. little bit better. I mean, we could probably also change the ordering of this. So right now it's grid calls 1, but if you're small, grid calls, I'm sorry, right now it's grid calls 2. There we go. Okay, and then for the header, might even add a gap of 8 between those. And then if you click on them, this needs to go to my YouTube channel. So like, do you need the @ symbol when you do X? Let's maybe I need to put the hover on the actual SVG itself. Something. Yeah, that's not sure if that's the best place to put it. Probably not. Let me go back to the chat. We cook it with icons right now. Yeah, I used the bearded theme icon. Bearded theme icons and stained blue color theme. Yeah, I don't like the fact that like the icons on themselves have the hover state inside of them. I wonder if I bring in class name, which maybe I don't even have. Why does Copilot not add? You see this? Like, I've noticed this a lot. It just doesn't add the ending curly brace. Anyway, I'd rather have this have the class name attached to it. Good enough. Let's ship it. Adding icons. Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Do you ever worry about forgetting CSS using Tailwind all the time? I mean, I've already forgotten CSS, but I know I could relearn it. Like, BG gray, like obviously you just have to do background color, and then that's a bad example. Like most of these are kind of one-to-one, right? Like justify between is actually just justify content colon space between. And so I'm sure you could just spend a couple days and relearn the real classes if you want to. And to get the curly braces, you have to sign up for Copilot Super Premium. That's their way of their freemium way. Yeah, any questions or anything? Honestly, I just wanted to an excuse to stream, and this is my excuse. And all we did with this is we added 2 icons and we integrated with my Project Planner AI project here so I can see when people load up my webpage. You know, what we could also do is when people click the subscribe button, that's what I wanted to do. Let's find out where the subscribe button is. Minimized, okay. On submit. Here we go. So when someone actually clicks submit, we do a subscribe mutation, and then I'm going to send an event here. Called user subscribed. And then also, I think I have an unsubscribe page. So I might go to the unsubscribe by page, and we'll just get a little bit of analytics for when people hit this page as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just inside here, I'll say send event on load. Event key will be unsubscribe. Unsubscribed. Go ahead and get that deployed out, and I'll test it out in a second. And abort that deploy. Use invert? What you mean? Local development staging production environments. I mean, what do you need to know about? I don't think you need a tutorial for that, right? For setting up these different environments, you just need to do different deployments and change environment variables typically. Now, in terms of if you're using like a hosting service, I'm not sure the best way to do that. I mean, you probably have to like, is there a way to change what branch? Yeah, so like, for example, if I wanted to have a dev staging prod environment for WebDev Cody, I'd probably have to go and deploy a new project here, point it to the same repo, but change the branch. So instead of main, you could be like, I don't know, staging, or you can maybe connect it to a tag. I don't know. But then you change the environment variables to be what it needs to be. But then you also need to get like a staging database. I'm not sure how to really answer that question. It really depends. Like, are you using AWS to have all your different environments set up? Are you doing all this manually? What package do you use to generate PDF from JSX? I think we actually just use the React. It's like a library that converts your JSX to strings. Honestly, I don't remember. It's been a while since we set that up. But like we write all our PDFs using JSX, And then we run that when someone needs to generate the PDF. The API will take that JSX code. It'll run it through. I don't even remember. See if I can find that. You know, that'd be too much work to go look that up. Can you teach how to deploy Next.js to other hosting? What other hosting? Most hosting providers, like they have support for Next.js. All they do is they containerize your Next app and run npm start. And so as far as like getting that deployed out, you just point it to your repo and it should work. PDF generation is happening server side. So we actually, after we converted the JSX to HTML, and then we inline all the CSS directly into the HTML file, we run that through Puppeteer, which basically like loads up the page, and then we generate a PDF from that page using Puppeteer. That generates a PDF file, and we save that to S3, and then we'll give people a pre-signed URL to download that PDF. Gazorpa Zorp says, I'd say that unless there is another tester or developers, no need for staging environment. You just test what you need locally on a dev or staging branch. Then when you PR to main, it deploys. Yeah, you can also wrap stuff in feature flags. So like you can continuously do continuous integration and deployment. Just put stuff behind feature flags. You can give certain users access to those features if you need to. I mean, obviously it gets more sophisticated as you're like doing that type of stuff. And then at some point when everything's good, you just turn the flag on. You can also use like ngrok if you want people to directly connect to like a local running version of your change or your feature. Just use ngrok, give them access to your URL or your machine locally. They can test stuff out. Or if you're at a really good project and you guys know what collaboration means, you guys just get into a Zoom, you let them screen share your computer for a little bit. They can play around with your feature and test it out. And you can get feedback that way. So there's a lot of different ways. Setting up a staging branch in like a staging environment, a dev environment, a prod environment. I would avoid it unless like you have a really large project and team. Or you're like integrating with a bunch of other services. Cloudflared. Yeah, that's cool. Metal X, Cloudflared, tunnel, URL, localhost 3000 also works. Scale is also nice for teams. I spent one day on a live stream trying to learn Rust. That's it. Danny says, staging is important to test in a mirrored prod environment, in my opinion. And I agree. I think as the project gets larger, like you have to have that, especially if you're dealing with more AWS services, because there's always these small things that you misconfigure when you try to deploy to prod and then like everything's broken. But again, I would just say like if you can find ways to avoid that, avoid adding all this extra environments and complexity, I would personally do that. Yeah, I'm doing good, Metal. Thanks for asking. Okay, so let's see if this is this done deploying? I just wanted to test something. So like now, testing 1, 2, 3 add example.com. Go ahead and subscribe. And oh, I'm still getting errors for this, aren't I? Because I am not on my deployed environment. Did I even click this? What's going on right now? Yo, who built this site? This site sucks. Can't even click on the subscribe button. Why can't I click on it? I could press enter and it works. I hate coding. Let's figure out what's going on here. So there must be some disabled going on. If subscription modal is pending, the button, I mean, maybe it's this like cursor pointer. I need to manually add that because Tailwind, yeah, that was the issue. Was that the issue though? Because I should have, if I clicked on it. What's going on here? I don't know. Maybe that's the issue. I'm just going to go ahead and add cursor. All right, the reason I did that is I want to go over here, make sure I get users subscribed. Got 2 of those subscription events on this day. So that's cool. And then also unsubscribing, which I'd have to get the unsubscribe ID, which I need to log into AWS, go through my Dynamo table, figure out what unique token was for that user who just subscribed. Let me just do that real quick. I don't want to share my AWS with you all because I don't want to leak people's emails. That wouldn't make people very happy, would it? Just loading up a Dynamo table. And I want to find... Did it not clear out? Hold on a second. All right, here we go. So I can go here, unsubscribe. Is that what it was? No. API unsubscribe. Okay, so it's API unsubscribe. There we go. That should have been deleted from the table now. And I should have a new event. User unsubscribed. Cool. And now the cursor should be working. I don't know if the disabled was working. Feels weird that you have to do all this stuff in Tailwind. Like, why is this not just... Like, I know why. It's because they did like that CSS reset, but it's kind of annoying. Okay. Yo, wait, what's the title of this stream? This is the second person who asked about Rust. Please tell me my stream name isn't like learning Rust. Working on my personal Next.js site. Okay. Why are people asking about Rust right now? I think my Twitch probably says something about Rust. Yeah, my Twitch says that. Working on a personal... On click. You don't have an on click or type submit. Is that what's going on here? Let me just verify that. So if I get rid of all this cursor pointer stuff, I didn't think you had the add type submit. I thought it was the default. Am I crazy? Is that a CSS? Is that a Tailwind thing that like, unless you actually have type submit, these stuff don't work? I thought type submit was the default for buttons. You learn something new every day you probably should have learned 3 years ago. What am I using for events? User subscribed, unsubscribed. Right now I'm just sending events to my own side project. This is another application I'm working on where I can just send events directly into this dashboard and I can like get analytics for how people are actually using my web app. And that's kind of like what I worked on last night. And right now I'm just integrating this with some of my other side projects so I can like get just more details into like the growth of things. I could use Google Analytics and PostHog and all this other stuff, but like just looking at the dashboard of PostHog is just too much. It's like, dude, I don't need 1,000 different dashboards. I just need something simple. I'm trying to make something simpler. Which database would you use if you had to store information about likes in string sets without having scaling issues? I guess I would ask how many potential users can like something. If you're going to have like 10,000 people like the same post, I don't know if storing them in a string set would be a good idea. But if your average is like 4 or 5 people liking something, I think it's fine. I don't know. I'm not really sure if I'm answering that question. I think it's a good idea to start a build in public SaaS. I mean, I don't think it's ever a bad idea. Unless you have like $1 million idea. That's too late. I've read it already. Unless you have like $1 million idea and then you think someone's going to steal it, then I probably wouldn't build in public until you've gotten enough traction where you're already ahead of the game. But in most cases, people are not going to steal your idea because people are just either working on their own stuff or they're too lazy to just take your idea or they're not skilled enough to do what you're doing. So I kind of wasn't even worried about it. Yeah, that's why I figured Holly Luck. The default behavior of a button inside of a form is type submit anyway. But like for some reason, I think it's just Tailwind. Unless you add type submit, for some reason the hover state styles for the cursors and also the disabled state, it just wasn't really updating. All right, I'll probably end the stream here in a second. Any last questions that you all might have for me? Jeremy says, did you finish it? Not sure what it means. I had a question though. If I were to do another long form tutorial, what would you want to see in that tutorial? Secondly, if I did another paid course, what would you want to see in a paid course? I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this, but these are some ideas. I might try to make a course. I think the last course I made was like a year plus ago, and so I feel like it's time to make another one. Obviously, it'd probably be Next.js. It'd probably have a database. Might use Drizzle. I'll show you how to deploy it, how to set up your domains. I don't know. I'm just curious. And then also, like, I wanted to potentially make a more like crash course entry level, so like a React.js tutorial or course maybe, and try to like have that be a funnel. Maybe y'all don't care about this discussion, but I think it's good if I had a course for like teaching JavaScript that could funnel into a course for teaching React, like just basic React, and then that could funnel into a course of teaching Next.js and deploying like a legit product that's hooked into Stripe, stuff like that. Self-hosting Supabase, Drizzle, and Next.js. Okay. When you, and then again, when you say Supabase, what features from Supabase are you talking about? Are you talking about just their like their authentication, their real time, and all that stuff? Honestly, I'm not too much of a fan. Other than the database Postgres hosting Supabase provides, I'm not really a fan of all the other stuff Supabase has. How would you implement autosave on a project, making sure the save happens in order? Save on a project. You're talking about like, okay, so let's say you have a text area. I mean, usually like when you're typing, you have a debounce, and after a certain amount of time, you'd submit a post request to the backend to save the changes. But if, let's say, someone types and then changes something else somewhere else, that data could be overwritten. I mean, you could make some like internal queue in your UI where every save has to be pushed into a queue and consumed one at a time. I'm not really sure if I'm answering your question. But yeah, when you talk about ordering, you either need to have a queue or you need to add it some type of incremental like ID to your events so that you know how to process them in order, if ordering is that important. EG vector from Supabase would be interesting to see. What are your thoughts on Redis dual licensing? Honestly, I don't know too much about the Redis license change. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, if you're just using Redis like it was supposed to be used, where like you need to have some type of efficient memory storage, like memory cache, I don't think the license really applies to you. I think the license was applying to companies who are taking Redis, basically writing a thin layer wrapper on it and selling it. which, yeah, I think that's fine. Changes on TypeScript versus JavaScript. Yeah, stuff. Okay. Someone said WebRTC, use effect, use state, use form state, etc. Overview, and interacting between client and server components for me is still the most confusing. Okay, so like Next.js stuff. How's your exercise routine progress? Pressing. Yeah, at the start of the year, I was like, I think I was running like a mile or two every day or every other day, and then I do pull-ups. I got up to almost like 26 pull-ups in a row, and I almost was able to do a one-arm pull-up on my right arm. And then I got like some type of upper respiratory infection where it would burn to run. So I kind of took a break, and then I started working out again, and then me and my wife and my family all got COVID. So I took a break again. And then shortly after, we all got sinus infections. I might get back on the horse again. Why are you always so serious? That's just who I am, you know? Use incoming. Oh yeah, there's a new use hook too. Yeah, my goals were to be able to do a front lever this year, be able to do one arm pull-ups again, and I think doing 30 pull-ups. Those are like my goals. Yeah. I only smile when there's something funny, but all you guys are just boring, so like no one's cracking jokes in the chat. What's there to smile about? And I just spent 20 minutes trying to get icons to show up in my UI. Why would that make me happy? Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. But if you guys enjoy my streams, I'll try to stream next Sunday if I have time, or maybe throw in a another stream. It'll be a surprise. But yeah, hope my stuff helps you out. Hope you guys had fun. I'm gonna drop, probably get some breakfast, and I'll talk to you all next Sunday, hopefully.